Thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today's positive words are unconditional love. So everybody is in search of unconditional love. It's the kind of love with no strings attached, and you expect nothing. You just give love and you don't have any a hidden agenda behind it. So the best way we get unconditional love that we mostly find is from our pets, our dogs, our cats, any of our pets that we have. Pets just love you no matter what. They don't care if you're having a bad hair day or if you're fat or sick or anything. They just love you unconditionally. And it's hard to find that in people, but one thing that I would recommend today is how about giving yourself some unconditional love? A lot of times we're hard on ourselves, and so today's positive word, let's practice giving ourselves some unconditional love without any conditions. Just, I love myself because I've got great qualities, or say some kind of a mantra about why you care about yourself. So let's get started with our art project. So I'm working in my art journal that is going to be steampunk themed. I've got 2 pages completed, and I'm using the Face Ups Steampunks page that I created that's in the Etsy shop. There's a link in the description box if you want to go check that out. It's so much fun to be doing a steampunk themed book and using those images. I'm going to use other images as well in this book, but those are going to be fun to be staggered throughout. So the first thing I'm going to do is put down a layer of paint. I love unbleached titanium. That's the color. This one is Liquitex, and you can get that color in pretty much every brand. And I love this tool for applying. I get this at the dollar store. Put down your paint, mist it with water, rub it all around, and you get a really nice base of paint, and it takes only seconds. So I'm going to put down a base layer of this, and then I'm going to do an image transfer this time. You've probably seen image transfers. People have lots of different ways of doing them, and this time I'm going to use Mod Podge. I do put my Mod Podge in an old bottle from a dish soap. I get the dish soap at the dollar store, you know, name brands of dish soap like Palmolive or whatever brand of dish soap that you like. And I clean it out and fill it with my Mod Podge, because that way you've got a nice dispenser that you can just pour a little Mod Podge and pop the lid shut. It's great, easy to refill. I use them for things like my gesso. Here are 4 of them. So there's white gesso, smooth gesso, clear gesso, and black gesso. And so they are all the same size. They all have the pop tops. And so I take the bottle that I have and I fill these containers because they just make dispensing so easy. I thought I'd mention that because a lot of people have been asking recently, what is that you're using? So it's just Mod Podge. So for an image transfer, what you'd want to do is find your image that you want to transfer. Like, say I want to transfer this train. You're going to put Matte Gel Medium or Mod Podge on the image itself, a layer, and on your page. Put a layer on the page. Then you flip it over and stick it down, let it dry, and then you're going to peel it off. And I have not tried Mod Podge. I've always done it with Matte Gel Medium. So this time I'm trying Mod Podge. And I've already gone ahead and done one. And now I'm just waiting for it to dry. It's just a really funky looking image. I just forgot to film it to put it on camera. But you can see I've put my layer of paint first. Let it dry. Now I've got this image waiting to dry. So apply your Matte Gel Medium to the image that you want to transfer to the page, and then stick them face to face. So whatever image you're transferring is going to be backwards. If I were doing this train, I put it on here and I put it on here, and when I stick this down and smooth it down and peel it, the train is going to be facing that way instead of that way, because you're transferring an image. So just keep that in mind, that words won't come out correctly because they're going to come out backwards. Sometimes that looks really pretty on a background if you just do words like book text words, even if I did like these words up here. And you don't have to do this perfect square, so you could just put some odd Matte Gel Medium or Mod Podge and then put some down here, put them together, and just get a really cool looking piece of words. And then because they're going backwards, it's going to be just really kind of cool in the background. In fact, let's try that. Let's try that, shall we? Let's do that. So I'm going to just put some Mod Podge. It'll look cool. So I'm going to put some here and here and here, but not in a specific shape. And then I'm going to put some here, like that. And then I'm going to stick it down. And now you want to let it dry. You can use your heat tool to dry it, but I'm going to let it air dry and see how it goes and see how Mod Podge works versus matte gel medium. And then when it's dry, I'll show you the next step. While we're waiting for that to dry, I have this cool magazine image, this girl in this kind of a crazy looking outfit, which kind of looks like it would make a neat, fun steampunk image. And she's got a shovel, and I think I'm gonna bury like an atomic bomb or something in the ground, like she's burying an atomic bomb. And I've got this girl from my Face-Ups kit, and what I did is I printed her twice, and I cut out the butterfly. There's a mechanical butterfly, and I used gold and copper paints to make the gears look even cooler, and then I just glued it down the middle so it pops up, so it makes it two-dimensional, three-dimensional. I used glossy accents on her glasses, on her opera glasses. I think what I'm going to do is cut the shovel off a little bit shorter. It's just going to be a shovel stuck in the ground because her arm is perfect. What I'm going to do is trim it out, and I'm going to actually change the position of her arm so that her arm is up a little bit more, and I'm going to put the opera glass handle in her hand. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I always do that. I do collage and I change it up and move their arms around and things and make them doing what I want them to be doing. So I think this is going to be what she's going to look like, and that's going to look so cool. And then I'll tint this with alcohol markers. That works really well to tint magazine images. So I'm going to play around with that. That's going to be one of my focal points on this page, is this lady from the Steampunk collection. So this is dry and I'm ready to remove it, and we'll see what happens. Keep in mind that, you know, our art journals are a place to play, and when we try new techniques, sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. And that's the fun. You could always cover them up with gesso or something else if you don't like how it turned out. So next you're going to just want to peel this off. Let's see if this worked, if it transferred the image or not. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. Well, so far it doesn't peel quite as well as using matte gel medium. The Mod Podge stuck it down pretty well. I was kind of afraid of that, but that's okay. It's not a loss. Just go on to the next step. Next, I'm going to just mist it with some water and use a little sponge and see if I can start removing some of that paper. And doing image transfer, I can tell you, is always very time-consuming and tedious. There it goes. It starts to remove that backing page. But I don't know. Is it going to leave the image, or is it going to remove it completely? This particular paper. So I can start to see that image coming through, so I'm just going to have to work at this a little bit until I get the backing paper off. This is one of those techniques where you have to decide, is it worth the effort or not, because it is a little bit of an effort. It's going to be kind of cool in the background. It's the difference between this and doing it like a packing tape version where you put packing tape over the front of the image, then soak it in water, rub the backing off, but then you've got this clear packing tape image that you have to glue onto your page, or you can just fussy cut and glue your focal onto your page. So this is to try to put it into the background. And so when you do this technique, it is a little bit of work, but I think the end result is going to be really cool. And as you can see, when I take my sponge and I gently rub, it's revealing that image behind. It's taking that backing layer off, and so it's working. It's just a little bit of work to do. It's a little effort. And then you've got, of course, all this paper mess here. But I think it'll be a neat result. It'll be something fun in the background. And that's kind of a fun, different thing is to do something different on your page. So you kind of have to decide, is it worth it or not? But look at that neat image. Process is somewhat tedious and messy, but look at how cool that looks to have that backwards text in the background itself. So that's kind of cool. It does still have some white on it that I could keep working on. Actually, I can even rub it a little bit with my finger and more of the white comes off. But I kind of like the white on it, and I'm going to go over it, I think, with a little bit of ink to even grunge it up. This over here, I don't know if it's because I had paint on the background or not, but I like, again, the white. It doesn't bother me. I could keep going. You have to be careful that you don't rub it so much that you rub the image itself off, and I like that I can see it, so I'm kind of good to go on that. So I think this is dried now over here, I think if I took a little bit of distress ink and go over this where the white edges are, where it's still got some white to it, it's going to pick up that paper that I left on. I could take that paper off, but look how cool and grungy that looks. I love it. Love it. So it's cool. It's fun. It's kind of different, fun technique to play around with. And I can come back in with the technique I showed last time with the distress oxides, where you do the smushing technique. That's the technical term, smushing. And so you can do that grunge background up to and around where you've done your transfer. I think that will look really cool on both sides. I'll do a couple colors. So see how that's going to just add into that image that got transferred. I think I really like that a lot. Let that dry. Or how about taking a Neo Color 2 crayon? Now this is the ochre color. And I'm going to kind of color this right up and along the edge of the image that I want to have the image stand out a little bit. Kind of go around that background. And some of the places where it's too stark white, like that. And then just take a brush, a wet brush, and activate that Neo Color. So easy, and Neo Colors are just great for this kind of stuff, just adding a little pop of color on backgrounds. this is going to bring that image out a little bit more because it's going to put a focal color around it. Oh yeah. See, that looks really cool. Just another step in the process. I like that. So now I'm working on fussy cutting out my image, and I found this online image, and I go into a program, an app that I have called Print to Size. If you've never seen it, really inexpensive to purchase it. I think it's only like $4.99 or something, but you can take any photo or any image and make it any size you want. And so I just kind of take my ruler and decide how big I want it, shrink down that image to the right size, print it, and then I can cut it out. So this is going to be perfect to have this nuclear bomb in the picture, and I'm going to fussy cut her out and change her arm, and then I'm going to add her to this page. So here's what this looks like. So with cutting that arm and putting the hand, now the hand is holding on to her opera glasses, and I tore this edge to make it rough. I cut the handle of the shovel a little bit shorter, but that looks really kind of cool. I love it. And then this, I'm going to tear a piece down here where I can stick this in the ground. So that is just too cool. I cut the paper, jagged, I stuck it behind, and then I put a pop dot behind this end of it so it sticks out. And that just looks so cool. Just super cool. So that's fun. I really enjoy that image, and I'm going to put that down right in that spot. So, but I think I'm going to do some more background first. So that's what my focal point is going to look like. So what's the story here? Is she a villainous person that she is maybe her husband is the mad scientist person that is helping to create these bombs? Is she trying to bury it to save the world, or is she digging it up to use it? Who knows? On this side, I had another image of a steampunk girl that came from a steampunk coloring book. I collaged her onto sitting on this mechanical looking box. I cut out a globe, and I'm going to have her pointing to something on the globe just randomly, like put the globe like that maybe. And to tie in the purple from over here, I'm going to take a purple, this is an Woohoo alcohol marker with a brush tip, and it's great for tinting magazine images. So I think I'm going to come back in here and tint her dress to give it a little purple hue so it ties in with the image on the other page. See how you can do that with alcohol marker. So that'll look kind of cool. So I just wanted to show you how this page is coming along. I've got my image with my girl and the bomb that's buried in the dirt, and she's holding her opera glasses. And in the background, I've got a steam locomotive train, and I blended it out with some a charcoal pencil. I used a brick stencil and distress inks to make some brick pattern here and there. I've collaged and added these images, so there's the funky images all together. She's pointing at the globe, and then this cool image up here was from a coloring book. This was supposed to be like a dream catcher necklace, and I took the part of it that had just the gears and the chain, and now I'm using metallic paint. Actually, that's a Sharpie. It's a copper colored Sharpie. I'm making the gears copper colored, and I'm going to make the chain gold. I added that police department image in the background, and I'm just playing. I'm making more collage and just adding to it. I've used a charcoal pencil to put some shadows here and there underneath things, like under the plane and under the wheels of the police car, under the hand. So I'm just playing, and I think this is turning out really kind of fun and funky. I mean, that's what steampunk is. It's a combination of Victorian fashion, science fiction, science, just all kinds of crazy things. So I think this is going to be really fun. I like it. I'm having fun doing it, and I love how this face-ups girl looked with this image with the shovel in the ground, and then adding this nuclear bomb stuck out in the ground. I think it's just turning out really fun and funky. So hopefully you're enjoying this, and if anybody else is doing steampunk kinds of art journals or art journal pages, I invite you to go into the Facebook group that I have for Twisted Art Designs Facebook group and show me your stuff. Let's see what your steampunk stuff looks like. It's kind of a fun thing. I never thought I would like it this much, but I'm really having a ball with it. So, and the last thing I'm doing is I'm taking a brush with long bristles that's wet and a Neocolor too in black. And I'm just picking up a bunch of that Neocolor off, tipping it off the crayon onto my brush. And basically what I'm doing is making it nice and juicy to make some splatters. The reason I do that sometimes with Neocolors instead of paint is so stark, and if you do this with Neocolor and water, you're going to get nice splatters, but they're not as black as paint would be, is not as dark as paint would be. If that makes sense? They're more translucent. So that's kind of my final touch, was just to go in, and I did some brown, Van Dyke brown, and black splatters. So see what that looks like with my Neocolors. And then I'm going to spray the whole page with fixative. So my last two steps are to take this outside and spray matte finish on it. Just a mist over the page. I avoid where I put glossy accents because it'll make it look dull. And then once that dries, and it only takes a few minutes, that just seals everything in so nothing smears or bleeds. Then I use Gamblin' Cold Wax, and I just put a little bit on my finger and rub it onto the page, and this keeps the pages from sticking together. I've mentioned it a million times, but it's the very best way to keep your pages from sticking together, especially if you live in a climate where you have a lot of humidity, and it's, you know, something that happens especially if you use matte gel medium, or if you use Mod Podge or anything like that. Your pages tend to stick together, and then you try to open them to look at your book, and the pages stick and it tears the collage images and things. So the very last step for me is always to put a little cold wax everywhere and just rub it around with my fingers, and then my pages will be perfect and won't stick. So that's it. That's the page. I hope you enjoyed this. This was super fun. I enjoyed doing this steampunk page and showing you my process, and hopefully it taught you something new that you haven't tried maybe. Collage. You see my process for how I like to collage images together, or to take an image like where this was the hand on this long shovel, and I changed it to being the hand on the opera glasses. So collage like that is fun to do, and collaging images together to making fun, different, and funky things. The transfer in the background, that turned out really good. I love that. Turned out great. And up here where there's transfer in the background, super fun. How to blend an image into the page, like coming down and adding some shadows to blend it down in so you don't have a stark line. Just fun things. Hope you learned something new and had a little bit of fun watching me work in my art journal. So if you're interested in any of the products, I have them listed in the description box below, and the link to the face-ups kit for where you can find this cute steampunk face-up girl. All right, have a great day. Go make some art, because art soothes the heart. Thanks for stopping by.